Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Garrett Bell of Coldwell Banker Residential Real Estate based out of Melbourne, Florida. Garrett was born and raised in Brevard County, and he is a third generation of realtors in his family. He was awarded the designation for the top 1% of the company's 86,000 sales associates for the past 2 years and was selected for Coldwell Banker's 30 Under 30 internationally in 2015. He's ranked in the top 250 nationally by Real Trends for number of units sold in 2015. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in business management from the University of Central Florida, and he's a proud UCF Knight. All right, with that said, Garrett, welcome to the show.
Hey, Keith, thanks for having me.
Hey, Garrett, if we could start with, for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you knew you wanted to do, or did you kind of stumble into it? I guess from your intro there, it sounds like you were almost raised into it, I guess.
Yeah, I was, and I'm a third-generation realtor, so I had no choice but to hear about the business every single night at the dinner table, whether I liked it or not. So, growing up, of course, I always wanted to do my own thing. I graduated from University of Central Florida. After that, started working a few jobs full-time during that. Desk jobs, worked out of Air Force Base, and then after that, worked out managing a gym, actually. And, both of those gave me a really good perspective, and I began to think more and more about the business, get more intrigued by it, and, decided to finally make the leap and I turned onto the dark side where my parents were.
Excellent. And can you talk a little bit about some of the personal attributes, traits, or qualities that you think have most contributed to the success that you've had?
Absolutely. Not being afraid to go for it, doing things that you're uncomfortable with. Those are all big aspects of the business. I mean, in this job, you're going to be doing things that you're maybe uncomfortable with, or you're in a situation you've never been before. And, I think really just as far as developing it, it's almost a decision that you make. It's like jumping into, cold water. At first, it's not so fun for the first few minutes, but then you get used to it. You become accustomed to it. And, another attribute that's definitely important is management and organizational skills. In this business, there's so many different things going on at different times. You got different transactions. Keeping it all together can be difficult. And if you don't have a system in place, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to miss things, and some people are going to be upset. So really developing a system over time and keeping organized is one of the biggest parts of the business, for sure. Excellent.
And do you think you give our listeners an example of when you've used your traits and they've played a role in your path towards success?
Yeah, absolutely. Those traits come in almost on a daily basis. I mean, you're going to be having, different phone calls, different situations. There's going to be times when you're so overwhelmed with work that you're not sure how you're going to be able to get through it. And then, just making a decision to get it done, using the systems that you have in place and really, really getting through it that way. You're always going to have the clients that really drive you nuts. Some particular examples. Every agent's got a million stories about, working with different buyers and sellers. But, we've had, I've had one where, pickiest buyers you ever met. He even walked into a house one time in front of the owner and was like, this house is terrible. Just walked right out. So, in his situation, that was a funny one. We ended up finding him a house while he was out of town. He bought it sight unseen. So really just different scenarios. And then, that particular guy wanted to end up selling his own home that he was in previously. So I go out on a listing appointment with him. He was happy with the previous transaction. And then, all of a sudden, we're done with our listing presentation. Oh, he's real excited and happy. He's like, I'll get you the paperwork tomorrow. Calls me the next day, decides to list with someone else. Doesn't even give a reason. It's the kind of things like that in the business that are going to happen to you, many times. You just got to persevere through that, understand not everything works out, and just keep on going.
Excellent. And I think with any business or success, a lot of times there may be some issues, some adversity, some trials as you kind of, come up through and make your way. So can you talk a little bit about maybe some adversities or trials that you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
For me, myself, my particular situation, I was real young getting into business. I was 22 when I got my license. So, it has applied to almost all agents. Getting in, differentiating yourself from the competition, is really, really the key, and it's a difficult thing to do. And once you break through there, that's when you really can get some success. And for myself, at a young age, maintaining confidence was key. If you don't know an answer to someone's question when you're getting in the business, you don't make something up. You tell them, you'll find the information for them as soon as possible, get all the answers to them. And that really instills trust in them, and that's how you really build a good reputation.
Excellent. And I guess what kept you going despite obstacles? Why didn't you give up? What's your driving force?
Really, this business is just excites me overall. Anytime that I get discouraged or start to think, maybe I can't do this, I think about how lucky I am to be doing something that I really love. And, you think back about previous jobs that you've had that you were unhappy with, or all the other things out there that you could be doing that, you just really feel grateful about being in the business. And that really helps motivate you through tough times.
And I guess kind of looking forward, Garrett, what's your vision for your career, say, over the next 5 years?
Well, up to this point in my career, I've done a lot of bank-owned sales. I worked with a lot of investors, sold a lot of, REO properties, things like that. Over recent times, I've really expanded to do more traditional sales, and I'm looking to break into more of maybe the higher end sales, grow my inventory, and expand my team. Right now I'm working with another buyer's agent who's on my team, and we're looking to just get enough business to where we really keep growing over the next few years.
And I guess also kind of looking forward on top of that, what do you feel is the best way that you market yourself as a real estate professional so you can have continual growth?
I really think long term, your reputation is one of those, one of the biggest factors as far as marketing. Working on a referral basis, if you were to build up, enough clientele and you get enough word going around about you, positive word of mouth, that really is something that doesn't cost any money. It's just about doing a good job for your clients. They tell other clients, and it really grows that way. But times are changing, a lot of new marketing tools that we're using, getting in front of people's faces is always, one of the biggest parts of the business. Social media now has a lot of influence. People are on their phones or on the computers every day, looking through Facebook, Instagram, all those kind of things. Getting in front of them on social media is something that I've really changed recently. And, but long term, if you build up a good enough reputation, word gets around, it doesn't cost you any money advertising. So that's really been a big factor.
And I think when it comes to real estate agents, and it may be because of the barrier to entry and the perception they have from the public. I mean, as well as I do, you do a little bit of training, you take a test, you get a license. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people can do it. It's pretty easy to get involved with. So I think
right.
that leads to misconceptions when the public is concerned. So what do you think the biggest misconception or myth that people have about working with a real estate agent?
That's a funny one. And if you want to get a perspective of what people think, you go on Google and you type in, real estate agents, it'll auto-fill in. Real estate agents are, it'll say useless, scum, crooks. It's really funny to look at because you see that, and overall realtors have a bad perception, I think. And I think a lot of that is attributed to, inexperienced agents who, haven't spent the time to do things the right way, end up giving people bad advice, giving people a bad taste about in their mouth. So finding a good agent and, finding one that's experienced, takes the time to do the right things is a huge deal.
All right. Well, here's kind of a hypothetical situation for you, which you actually may have deal with or dealt with. Let's say you get a call from a family member or a friend. They're in another state. Obviously, you're not licensed there, and they want to sell their home. What advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs? Kind of how you make sure you take care of your people. What would you tell them to look for to be able to pick an agent?
Well, the first thing I would look for is someone with experience in their area. You can find agents past sales. I would look up to see if they've done so in your market, and if they have, they can give you the right advice. They'll know the market. I think that's a big part of it. Another is not being afraid to call several different agents, get some different opinions. Poke around and see what how much they actually do know about the area. And then which agents are taking the time to answer all your questions, and then the ones that actually answer the phone, because having a good response time is a big part of a good agent, and that's one way for sure to weed out the ones that aren't.
Garrett, if somebody's looking for an agent, especially in the area that you serve, which is obviously the Melbourne, Florida area, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
They can go check out my website. It's GarrettBellTeam.com, spelled like my name, GarrettBell team, TEAM.com. Or you can call me on my cell phone really anytime. I'm always answering the phone at 321-537-6697.
Excellent. Well, Garrett, we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come
Absolutely.
and obviously share your real estate experience with all of our listeners. And if you want to learn more about Garrett, you can go to his site like he mentioned. We're also below this interview. We'll have a link to his website. We'll have his phone number and any other contact information we have, so that if you want to learn more about Garrett, you can go ahead and visit him and reach out and see if you guys would be a good fit to work together. So with all that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.